In the final trial of Danganronpa V3, we find out that all the characters' in-game identities and memories were completely fabricated, and that the cast personalities were different before the killing game and before their fake memories were implanted. This has led many fans to theorize on what the pre-game characters were like before the killing game took place. Specifically, a lot of people in the Danganronpa community seem to think that Kokichi Oma, before the killing game, was some soft, femboy, shy, uwu kid who was bullied. That kind of annoys me. I mean, it's completely okay to have this as a headcanon, but some people seem to push it as 100% true, and that just kinda irks me. It objectifies a complex character like Kokichi, and even though he's most definitely not my favorite, it still annoys me quite a bit. So in this video, I'll be theorizing on what pre-game Kokichi was really like. I know I'm definitely gonna get a lot of hate for making this, but please keep in mind that these are just my personal theories and in no way are they canon. You're allowed to believe whatever you want, and I'm just stating my opinion. Please don't kill me, Kokichi kiddies. The most information about the pre-game cast's personalities can be found in two key places. One in the prologue, and two in the killing game audition tapes. In contrast to people like Kaede, Kaito, and Shuichi, who got their audition tapes leaked in the last trial, the only lines we ever get from pre-game Kokichi are from the prologue. Some may argue that these lines don't count as pre-game because the members don't have their original memories at this point. They're just blank slates. However, in this scene, they still have their personalities, and none of the new fake memories have been implanted yet. So the prologue can show us at least a few aspects of Kokichi's old personality. Anyways, the only two lines that Kokichi says in the prologue are, and I quote, "Do you want me to check on what's happening?" and "I don't get it. What are these sealed talents you're talking about?" There are very few and short lines that he says in the prologue, but I think we can analyze his words pretty well. First of all, I don't think pre-game Kokichi was very introverted because, unlike characters such as Himiko or Kibo, he said 2 whole lines in the prologue. This may seem like very little, but he didn't stay silent. I think that he spoke so little not because of his reservations, but because he took time to choose his words carefully. His sentences are concise and straight to the point, which leads me to believe that they're thought out and calculated. They're not shy, they're just short and clever. The only 2 character sprites/appearances in the prologue that Kokichi get look stressed and anxious. Many believe that these 2 sprites/appearances show that Kokichi was like a Mikan, who was always apologizing and a bundle of anxiety. But I don't think that's the case. Kokichi was in a super stressful situation. Imagine waking up in a school full of strangers with no memory of how you got there. Who wouldn't be stressed and anxious? In the prologue, Kirumi also looks stressed, but does that mean that she's an soft girl? No, it just means she's experiencing a normal human emotion that anyone in that kind of stress would. The fact that Kokichi was able to put his clear anxiety aside in order to speak shows that he was a clever and thought-out person before the game. Now, there's this theory going around that the pre-game V3 cast were basically the polar opposite of their in-game selves, dubbed the opposite theory. If this theory was true, it would be realistic for Kokichi to be an shy boy, which is the opposite of his in-game self. But I disagree with that theory. In the prologue, 2 very outgoing and brash characters, Tenko and Kaito, both acted like their in-game selves, very loud and extroverted. If the opposite theory were true, wouldn't people like Himiko be acting in that sort of way instead, rather than the canonically energetic characters? Personally, I believe that the in-game students are like extended versions of their pre-game selves, if you know what I mean. For example, Shuichi's personality extended from a nervous Fran into a nervous detective. Kaede extended from an apathetic teenager into an apathetic teenager who had found meaning in life through music. My theory can be backed up by how Tsumugi calls Shuichi a quote-unquote weak detective in the final trial. If his pre-game self was the opposite of his in-game self, wouldn't he have turned strong after his fake memories were implanted, rather than staying emotionally weak like he was before? Anyways, my theory, coupled along with Kokichi's lines in the prologue, lead me to believe that he was already a leader before the new memories started flooding in. In the prologue, he was able to put his normal human anxiety aside to try and speak up and ask questions, which is something that a leader would do. He wasn't quite the ultimate supreme leader yet, but he was already a pretty capable leader. He just extended into the manipulative and egotistical character later when his new memories were implanted. The two lines that he delivers in the prologue aren't filled with stuttering. They're confident and clear. He chose his words carefully so not to speak the wrong things, but he didn't stop himself from speaking overall. Pre-game Kokichi was confident and calculating, a leader, even if he had some anxiety in a stressful situation like any normal human would. Canonically, pre-game Kokichi woke up with pre-game Kibo, just like Shuichi woke up with Kaede. I believe that pre-game Kibo was a very apathetic, nervous, and blunt student, due to his lack of lines and expression. The fact that pre-game Kokichi was able to convince him to get off his ass and move shows that he was probably a pretty competent leader in general. In conclusion, I don't think that pre-game Kokichi was the ubu shy femboy that many seem to say he is. I believe that he was a competent leader who was able to put his emotions aside in order to work hard. Anyways, everyone, that's all I have for today's video. Please be merciful in the comment section. Don't crucify me, Kokichi Kinnies. I know you will. Please. Goodbye. I hope you have a nice day.